Do this shit until they murder me.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another World of Tanks console video. My name is Zach, and today's video will introduce us to Update 4.4, Reap the Spoils of War, that just hit console. I believe this has been three days old. Yep, April 3rd was the release of this. So without further ado, let's get into it. Now, Reap the Spoils of War in Update 4.4. Update 4.4 has landed, and it's a big one. We're introducing a brand new trilogy of war stories known collectively as Spoils of War, which pulls a trio of German, American, and Soviet heroes against a reality where World War II has never ended. Now, following on the context of what previously has been posted throughout last year, Spoils of War was actually what followed up in the month of April after March Madness, or the Tank Madness for World of Tanks console last year. Interestingly enough, they decided to go with a Spoils of War stories that, since war stories has become more of a popular thing now and more of a little bit demand from the console community, it's great to see that they decided to introduce a brand new war stories after months of being asked this from the community itself. We've also introduced defense towers to command and aid your fight in war stories, more options for crew portraits, and a new premium hero tank, adjustment to battle tiers to help newer players, and a new map variant that's primed and ready for most epic of battles, Prokhorovka Winter. There are plenty of more changes to digest, so check out the full update notes for Update 4.4 for a detailed breakdown on everything new and different coming to the game from April 3rd. Onwards. Now, the full update notes for Update 4.4 will be done in a separate video. I want to make sure we cover the overall gist of this video in just Update 4.4, considering that we haven't really gotten the April overview as of yet. At the time of recording this is April 6th. It's a little bit odd that they wait this long, and I assume that had to do with the Easter weekend that happened during the Final Four. But, however, at least they gave us something that I could at least produce a video for Update 4.4, the broader topics anyway. So, rewrite history in War Stories Spoils of War. The year is 1948, and World War II has never ended. Prepare to battle through and adapt to a new and unfamiliar world in an epic new trilogy of war stories. Spoils of War introduces 3 new heroes representing the German, American, Soviet perspectives of a war without end. These epic new chapters are available in a single-player and cooperative multiplayer and laid the groundwork for the future of war stories. Get ready to meet the daring new heroes of war stories, Captain Karl Staup. You know, I'm not saying. I apologize if I'm not mentioning this right. Staup. I really don't know. As he fends off a Soviet force from a doomed village in Siebenritter. Sergeant Frank Martinez attempts to liberate a horde of priceless artifacts from German raiders in the Connoisseur, and Captain Anatoly Petrov fights off an armed unit from a starving town on German front lines in Potemkin. The reason I said those ones more correctly is because I was watching the Facebook live stream that they did earlier and got to hear Daryl Higa, who is one of the writers behind War Stories, actually pronounce the terms, the words more clearly for each one, so it gave me a little bit better understanding of how they're pronounced. So, a new introduction to the War Stories chapters. Siebenritter introduces the new concept in the game in the form of defense towers. These are stationary turrets located across the map that will fire upon the enemy, each having their own health, modules, and crew. You can issue commands to defense towers to help you fight off the invasion and save the town. Now, I haven't actually gotten the chance to play the new Spoils of War stories, as I'm actually still behind 2 war stories. I haven't even started the one with the snake bite because I wasn't really getting too much into them, but now that they've actually accumulated quite a bit, I'll probably have a separate playlist just covering all the war stories as I play through them. But the having a defense tower seems interesting. I don't know how they will play out in actual game, and I'll probably give my opinion on them more when I actually get to play the war story when I get up to this. Again, I'll try to cover that in a separate playlist by itself and give you more of a detailed breakdown and opinions when that time comes around. But it sounds interesting, and I really like the idea of it already because some of the bots in war stories tend to feel, what's the word, useless. Prokhorovka Winter learned the intricacies and strategic advantages of a new map variant. Update 4.4 introduces a new winter variant map to World of Tanks in the form of Prokhorovka Winter, a chilly snowscape that hides a few secrets not accessible in the map's original form. With the onset of winter, Prokhorovka's rivers and ponds have frozen over. This opens up more accessible routes, more places to take cover, and more opportunities to plan and carry out new strategies without sacrificing your tank's mobility. Now, the battle tier for this is 4, so I assume this will mean that mostly tier 2s and 3s and maybe tier 4s, because tier 4s technically play up to battle tiers. They play as battle tier 5 and 6 they can reach, but they do still play as 4, so the lower ender might end up scraping this, but this will primarily be for tier 3 tanks, which makes no sense to me. I would pretty much prefer this being, up to tier 8s. Not the tier 9s and 10s meeting this, but the tier 8 tanks themselves, battle tier 8, would have been either that. Oh, I apologize. Never mind. I'm understanding this wrong. It's for battle tier 4 and higher. My apologies. I was actually confusing this. So anybody above battle tier 4, which will be tier 4 or higher tanks. Nope, tier 3 and higher tanks will be able to play on this map. The standard team destruction and counter game modes can also be accessed on this map, and the map has, I don't know if this is increased, it might be 1000 by 1000. The following maps have temporarily been removed due to the game size limitations, but will be added back in rotation at a later date. Redshire 1944 Northwest, Windstrom, Tundra, and Tundra Winter. So here we have some screenshots of the map, and to be honest, there's only a few places that you can really take advantage of, which were previously the ponds, there and the, I guess, lake that was previously there, that you can really take use of. Along the side should pretty much be the same. You might get a little bit more cover. No, the cover is actually less towards this part. This would be the northern spawn looking down to the south. And in all honesty, the only thing that improves that is the winter. It reduces the effectiveness of light tanks because the snow actually creates crevices that have the tank jump up a little bit more. So I'm not sure how this will play out. Again, I haven't really gotten the chance to play on it yet. However, again, these are pretty much the only thing I can see being more useful, is being able to just traverse across this, or if anything, the tanks that are trying to go up the hill, instead of going up the hill, just come straight down into the lake like you could have before, maybe not as effectively, but instead of having to hug the ridges, which you should still do, you can just come straight down the middle and attack the enemy from the flank. That'll pretty much be impossible when you have people camping the spawn a little bit more underneath the train, but again, a little bit better use of terrain, I guess. I like to see how it plays out a little bit more, but I feel that winter maps tend to create that imbalance for light tanks with those hills that the snow ends up creating. But that's just a personal opinion on that. If you guys have the same, just let me know down in the comments. New premium hero tank, this Scourge Kravitz 1, available until May 1st. Become the bane on the battlefield. The Scourge Kravitz, Kravitz 1 is here, and it is sight set on a total conquest of the battlefield. Outfox your opponents with great mobility, or prime this war machine for direct attacks with backing of excellent turret armor, readier defense, or give the Soviet assailants cause in brand new bundles available for a limited time only. So with their bundle, the Scourge Kravitz 1, Kravitz 1 Ultimate, you get 100% trained crew, 7 days of premium, 1 garage slot, 3 times experience boost, as well as the Scourge Ace, operation for 15,100 gold. I'm going to try to get the loan for this, as I'm pretty much low on funds, so normally I would either purchase it. Since I become a contributor now, I can actually see if I can get a tank loan from Wargaming, and normally the tank loan is a little bit shorter. If I enjoy the tank, I'll let you guys know if it's a tank worth picking up. Just from me checking out some of the screenshots of this, it basically has the turret of an IS-3. However, not the hull of an IS-3. This is the hull of an IS-6. Kind of leading up to more of a design to what the IS-4 is, with the flat front, well, not flat, but it doesn't have the pike nose that the IS-3 normally comes with. However, you do get this great turret. The front of it, I can't really get a good shot of it here, but it's just a straight flat angle, so you don't necessarily have to worry about if you side scrape, having to worry about the front of the hull, upper hull becoming weak. It's fairly well angled, and it maintains that angle while you're side scraping a lot easier than you would with the IS-3, T10, or the IS-7. Moving on, we have crew portraits, more customized options that you can shake a turret at, and this is where the laughter and banter comes in, as you'll see some of the images. In additional to the existing crew portraits, more options have been added with update 4.4. You can now use additional national crew portraits to truly make your tank and your crew your own. New common crew portraits are also available and can be used in any nation, so go wild. Now, these portraits are very gimmicky. Now, a lot of people have brought this up in the forums and have pretty much just bashed it, in that they look really goofy looking to what the crew portraits are now. However, I'll actually take the other boat, and I actually like some of the gimmicky. I don't know if that's what Wargaming was kind of aiming for. However, that's kind of where they landed, and if that's not where they were aiming to go with it, they should pretty much run with that. Because if they don't say it's a gimmick and they truly intended for these, they look very cartoony. Now, there's only two tanks that I can, two crew portraits that I can honestly say are very cartoon-like, in that this does not include any of the Dark Horse Comics pair-up. It's actually the Nameless and the Edelweiss, where those crews actually have very cartoon-like designs, as well as cartoon voices based on the game Valkyria Chronicles. So I get that. However, these ones just seem like they borderline went over the top with some gimmicks. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 new females being, 7, 8 new female characters, crew portraits being added, and 1, 2, 3, 4 American, 4 men's for the Americans. So overall, you have 12 new crew portraits from the American section to choose from. The Chinese portrait got 2 new male crew portraits. The French have 2 new, 1 male, 1 female. The Japanese has 2 males joining the crew portraits, and the UK has, actually I can't tell the last one, so I'm gonna go 3 males, 1 female. I actually like the way the UK ones look. They look a lot more distinguishable and not as gimmicky as the other ones, like say the French male. The French male portrait does look a little bit too jokingly, as well as the first Chinese male one. That one just, it's very pasty, man. That's almost ghost type of painting. However, they're still, again, I hope it's a gimmick and not what was truly intended. If it was, hats off to you guys. I really can't say anything else about it. Moving on, we have battle tiers adjusted to help new players. Battles can take place in 11 possible battle tiers, not to be confused with vehicle tiers, people, which range from 1 to 10. Don't know why they have to emphasize this. I believe there's a whole stat sheet that you can look at for battle tiers. Each vehicle, depending on a number of factors, includes its performance and vehicle tier, will fall in a certain range of battle tiers to fight in. While the garage doesn't display battle tiers, you can see the maximum vehicle tier your selected vehicle will meet in battle, meaning that you play tier 10, the battle tier goes up to tier 11, because battle tier 11 will basically be strictly tier 10s playing in one match. With update 4.4, we've made adjustments to battle tiers and when maps and game modes become available to improve the learning and playing experience for newer players. Maps and game modes will be rolled out gradually as players progress in the game, and all maps becoming available at battle tier 7. This will give players more time to focus on learning how to handle the vehicles and less time on learning about less time trying to learn about a large amount of maps. Now, this overall feels like a great adjustment to help address some of my concerns that happen with the lower tiers. Now, this still will not stop the fact for people that become seal clubbers, take their tier 3s and 4s and some tier 2 premium tanks and going down to the lower tiers and pretty much, beating the living hell out of some new players. However, this helps the newer population of players that would just be getting interested in the tanks slowly adjust over time as they move up to not have to deal with a lot of the higher tier tactics that come with anything above tier 7. By tier 7, you don't earn as much silver as you would want to. There's that capability of doing so, but it does start getting gradually harder to grind through tanks because, one, the amount of experience required is higher, but two, the level of skill of the players playing in tier 8s, 9s, and 10s tend to be, and I say tend to be, a lot higher than new players would be able to handle if they decided to jump into a tier 8 premium tank. That's pretty much your first mistake right there. And I think that's something they should also address, that I know a lot of players in the forums have brought up multiple times, is preventing players that are new from purchasing high tier premiums until they meet a certain number of battles. Now, that's not just locking off because you have PC players coming over to console a lot of the times, but overall just helping it so that you don't have brand new players that have never played any of the World of Tanks games jumping into a tier 8 premium tank right off the bat. Because I do believe with sometimes the way people play in those tier 8 premiums, that tends to be what happens. The King Dragon Type 59, more fire for the King's Breath. And this is something that I was absolutely shocked about and really gung-ho for and excited because I still haven't gotten to play this again, but I'm really looking forward to it. So the Regal King Dragon Type 59 has been buffed with update 4.4. This Crimson Monster's gun has been given a fiery upgrade to a modified version of the 105mm L7A1, the 105mm L7C, and packs a devastating 390 average damage. Not only that, but we reworked the additional gun stats to give it better penetration and accuracy. Visually, the gun will remain the same to preserve the special Dragon Barrel. The new gun will come with a stock loadout of ammunition with 50 rounds of premium ammunition in the depot. Silver will be refunded for all ammunition left on the old gun. If you already own the King Dragon, you will be upgraded to the newer version after updating the game client. Now, I have jumped into the game and I haven't played the Type 59. However, I was able to adjust around the amount of rounds that it does. It still carries 50 rounds of ammunition in total, so that's what the 50 rounds of premium ammunition in the depot pretty much covers, because a lot of times, again, if you watched my tank review, that was pretty much the main thing about it, is that the penetration on the standard rounds just didn't hold up to its premium rounds, and you pretty much opt out for premium rounds to begin with. So it's great to see that they decided to go. Now, we will cover this more because there's more stats in the summary when we go over that, but again, my overall impression of this will have to go when I have to do a revision of the tank review that I have already up on YouTube. And if you haven't checked it out, don't worry, I'll have a revision to it coming up. And if you have checked it out, again, revision working in progress. Moving on, we have base capture revamp, all about that base. The base capture indicators have been fully reworked to support multi-base game modes, to reduce the HUD space and to generally make it easier for players to see which bases are being captured. All previous information about these base capture progress has been either retained or improved. The siren sound effect has also been updated, with addition of clear alert messages during base capture. Basic flow is bases are always displayed at the top of the HUD and are active when friendly, enemy, or neutral bases are being captured. The base will be represented by one of the following icons: a small green flag. If these flags are captured, the game will end. The letters of the flag, A, B, used for multi-base assault mode to distinguish between the bases. I haven't seen this pop up because the game mode itself is, I think it's been removed at this point. Or the star used for secondary bases. These are displayed in War Stories and PvE modes for base that can be captured but will not end the game if they are. Kind of like a checkpoint mark. The icons and the circle color depends on the color. If your team, the friendly base will always be on the left with the enemy base on the right. If the base is neutral, it will be in the middle. The following colors are used as base capture indicators: red for the enemy base, purple for the enemy base when in colorblind mode, green with friendly base, or white for neutral, which means that would be the assault game mode or encounter game mode. So you can see it if you're not watching. Both are always active on your screen. It's down here. When one is being captured, it tells you the amount of tanks that are required to capture it, which the maximum amount of tanks that can actually capture a point is 3. So anytime you have more than 3 people trying to capture a tank or base, it doesn't count anything after 3, and those 3 tanks are what pretty much dictate how much points each of them have. That depends on who got into the circle first and so on and so forth, but it tells you when the enemies are capturing your base, or vice versa. The right circle will start winding. So it seems that the enemy base will go clockwise, and when your base is being captured, it will go counterclockwise. That pretty much goes for... pretty much applies for all modes, and your team is represented on the left, their team is represented on the right. You can see it here in the personal picture that they have here. I don't know who's playing, although that's actually interesting that they can only display 100 rounds. It's interesting, but you can see how it lights up where he's capturing the enemy base, or he's capturing the enemy base, so the enemy base flag actually grows a little bit larger and starts counting down. It shows the number of tanks in the base as well as the amount of time that tank is going to have to capture the base. And pretty much after that is just whatever is in the update notes. Again, that'll be for a separate video that will probably be released around the same time as this one, as well as the bundles coming along with update 4.4, destroyers and light trios. You can get the Rheinmetall Scorpion, the Sturzwagen S1, and the ISU 130 for 30,000 gold, the lights trio with the BT7A, the Kemp Panzer M4190, the Black Dog, and the Type 62 light tank for 11,200 gold, each with 3 garage slots, each with 100% trained crew, and each with their own ace tanker op for their respective tanks. Well, that's it for update 4.4. Look forward to the next video that will be quite a bit longer than this one, covering every little detail in the update 4.4 summary, as well as some personal thoughts and opinions on them throughout that video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like down below. Let me know what your favorite part of update 4.4 is, as well as have you played any of the new war stories. If you have, let me know if you haven't played all of them or which one you enjoyed the most. That's it for me, guys. Have a good night.